What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. I'm Titus, and I really appreciate you guys joining me today. And today we're going to inaugurate the channel with my first ever real shard opening video. And it's crazy because I was just saying how I wasn't going to go for the fusion, and I still think that that was correct on the free to play. But I didn't think that they were going to release a 2x event for all of their shards. So I gotta be honest, I've given Plarium a lot of flack on this channel, and I've said some, I think some fair things, but people might say I'm being a little uncharitable. But I will say that I think that this specifically is a huge dub. 2x for all shards except primals during a champion chase for their 6th anniversary is chef's kiss. So I've got 70 shards to pull on this account and a couple more to pull on the main. I will say that when I did the research for this shard pull event and I was kind of breaking it down, I did not think that the points were going to be this high for the rare. And so we might need to do some finagling on the main account in order to get that rare, because we don't have any wiggle room. So I guess we'll see how that goes. But in the meantime, let's start cracking into some of these shards. All right, so just moving down the list, we're going to start with our ancients. We got 60 of them. I made plenty of room so that we can fit all of these pulls. What I'm really hoping for is, I'd love to say, man, I want 50 million, legendaries and all that stuff with all these fantastic rates. But really what we're looking for with these pulls, or I think what's realistic, is maybe one legendary and like 2 or 3 solid epics that are really going to boost this account into infinity and beyond. So let's get into it with our first 10 pull. What do we got? All right, blue. All right, are we getting the blue tax out the way right off the bat? Getting the blue tax out the way right off the bat. That's fine. It's fine. We got plenty of ancient shards. Anything I see here that kind of sticks out to me? Not really. We've got a couple more Sylvan Watchers, which we needed for the faction crypts. Got a couple of rares. Already had a Life Taker, funnily enough. Steel Bowyer would be nice. Add her to the squad. Enemy max HP. A lot of people don't talk about it, but I don't know if it's because it just isn't really all that impactful when you compare it to like a Cold Heart. But we'll see. On to our next 10. Let's see what we got. All right, we got Lady Atessa and a Sanguinia. Okay, so Lady Atessa were meh. However, Sanguinia, really solid, has a full 100% debuff transferal from herself and a full ally cleanse on a 4-turn. Block debuffs and continuous heals on a 3-turn, and then a more random buff strip on the A1. So definitely good. For the block debuffs. Our account really didn't have that. And this transferring of debuffs is really solid too. So we'll probably at some point invest in a Sanguinia for sure. Other than that, not really. We got another Meat Carver Tolog. Madman used to be decent and he got nerfed. Coffin Smasher could be interesting. Coffin Smasher could be interesting for Fire, or not Fire Knight, or actually he could be interesting for Fire Knight hitting, the 3 hitter with the big decrease attack. Also brings the burn, only a 75% chance. He could be decent for Clan Boss and maybe Fire Knight. It's definitely thinking more Clan Boss, especially with this AoE damage decrease. Lady Atessa is hot buns. Hot buns. I mean, I guess this ally attack could be okay. But yeah, I don't know. We already have Morag for that, so. But hey, Sanguini is a pretty solid pull. Let's pull our next 10. All right, come on. We're looking for, give me, Arwid, okay, our first legendary, and we got Skull Lord Vargal. Okay. That's okay. So we got Arwid Quivergrass here. Attacks all enemies, removes all debuffs from this champion, has removing a random buff from all enemies. So some buff strip on the A2, buff steal on the A1. Champion has no active debuffs. Will also ignore unkillable buffs if this champion has no active debuffs. Okay, and then extra accuracy. Okay, so she's just it looks like she's just a nuker. Can ignore unkillable, but doesn't really do a whole ton, at least on first glance. Ultimate Gaelic is actually kind of funny because honestly, I think that might be each target is the 50% chance of placing an HP debuff if this champion's under decreases attacks one enemy, has a 50% chance of placing an HP debuff on the target if this champion is under an increased attack. Decreases the target's turn meter by 25% and places if this attack is critical. Is not. Okay. Fully heals this champion and removes any stun debuffs whenever an enemy places a stun debuff on this champion. Okay. That's interesting. I will say this, we were kind of hurting for an AoE burner on the team. I don't love the fact, I mean, I guess, so you open up with the A2, it crits, you get the increased attack, although we have ways of increasing attack from Gorgorab, so we wouldn't even have to worry about that. And then it's 2 hits, each one 50% chance to place an HP burn. Okay, all right, yeah, no, that's pretty solid. And we were kind of hurting for an HP burner on the account. That was one thing that we didn't really have. We had the skeleton guy, but it was like 1 HP burn single target on like a 4-turn cooldown. So that's a lot more solid. Frostbringer, bringing decreased defense, heal reduction, speed, and increase attack on all allies for 2 turns on a 4-turn. I know Frostbringer is kind of memed as being like not a very good champion, but I will say this, a lot of times champions aren't good unless they're what you got, right? Skull Lord Vargal as the first legendary on the account. That is, well, we're not gonna have any trouble with Lizardman faction crypts, that's for sure. He also is really good at, he has some niche use in Hydra as a provoker and somebody who brings a strengthened buff on all allies. He also is bringing decreased attack. And he has this kind of meme on his A1 where he can kind of go, not infinite, but he attacks twice. Each hit fills the champion's turn meter by 5%, and then there's a 30% chance to repeat this skill, right? So there's a 10% chance, and then, you know, every time, or yeah, it's a 10% chance after 2 hits, and then there's a 30% chance to repeat the skill. And so you might have seen memes of Skull-Lord Vargal coming in and just, you know, tearing it up. He's also known as like the premier solo champion for Scarab King, which is funny because we didn't need that. So, I mean, you know, I'm sure I can find plenty of places for Skull-Lord Vargal, but is he the legendary we were hoping for? No, but I'm not going to turn my nose up at a legendary, especially not at this point in the account. So let's crack on to our next 10 pulls. We're going to get another blue tax out the way. It's kind of looking like it. Norog. Oh, Norog. Okay. All right. Norog has this very interesting passive. He's immune to some debuffs or some hard CCs, but not all of them. He also decreases the damage allies take that are under 1 or more buffs by 15%. And if they're under no active buffs, they take 25% less damage. Other than that, he's bringing a block buffs on a 3-turn, and he's placing block active skills at was that 60% chance on the A1. You know, Norog's not good. He just isn't. And he is, I'm actually kind of disappointed with that. I'm super hyped. It is crazy that in 2 10 pulls, so 20 pulls, we get 2 legendaries. That's insane. However, they're not exactly the champions you get excited about. So that's the thing. But hey, we got we got 2 whole legend. They are legendary. They have gold borders for sure. Outside of that, we got another steel bowyer and another meat carver. So I think that brings us our meat carver count up to 3. All right. Well, you know, hey, still got some ancients to pull. All right, we pull Umatogi. I actually don't know. I don't know much about Umatogi. Let's see, what are we working with here? Attacks one enemy 2 times, has a 20% chance of inflicting a critical hit. An additional 20% chance if under Veil or Perfect Veil. I'm assuming A3, yeah. Places Perfect Veil and a 30% increased speed buff on this champion for 2 turns, and then fills this champion's turn meter by 40% on a 3-turn. That's interesting. It's obviously not like grant an extra turn, but you know, you're getting there, right? Attacks one enemy 2 times. Each hit will ignore 20% of the target's defense. Has an additional 20% chance of inflicting. Okay, so you open up with the A3, and then it looks like you really only need to build her out for 80% crit, because her skills are hitting 20% chance extra when she's under the veil. Whenever this champion is attacked, completely blocks 1 hit, decreasing the incoming damage to 0, then counterattacks with the default skill. Okay. And then when attacked by a boss, decrease the incoming damage by 50% instead before counterattacking, and this is on a 2-turn cooldown for the passive. So and this is just working all the time, even if she's not under Perfect Veil. So I guess she's kind of meant to be like, I guess I can see it in places like Fire Knight. She has the 2 hitters. Really, you'd like to see like a 3 hitter though for Fire Knight, I would think. But places like Dragon, I could see she as like as your single target nuker when you get to the Dragon, just someone who's gonna pump out a lot of damage. And then of course Faction Wars, she's gonna be great, right? Especially for killing the bosses in Faction Wars. Perfect Veil is also nice. Nichely, as somebody like she could be the person who tries to kill the Head of Fear. Or the Head of, I believe the actual name is Head of Torment, but yeah, okay. I actually don't know a whole lot about Umatogi, and a lot of times that makes me a little apprehensive, because if I don't know much about a champion, it's probably because they don't get used much. There's a lot of really solid champions that just kind of fall by the wayside because they're not as good. We also have another Life Taker. I don't know. Raider, okay. Spikehead, cool. These are for Razin Fusion. So that's nice. We got Odachi. Odachi's a pretty solid Faction Wars champ. Bringing block debuffs and small increased defense on all allies, and also giving them a shield. So yeah, a provoke on a 35% chance on the A1, which is, you know, not terrible. All right, I believe this is going to be our last 10 pull. Mother Superior, Marquez, Arndolf, okay. Arndolf. Flesh Terror, you know, meh. I mean, Faction Wars, right? Everything's Faction Wars at this point in the account. But Arndolf, unironically, I actually think is kind of slept on. He's got this 100% chance of placing a weaken debuff for 2 turns on a 3 turn, and also a fear debuff for 1 turn on a 3 turn. He has this really interesting reflect damage on all allies and counter attack on this champion, and then on his A1 he's got a 30% chance to provoke. So I actually think he would not be a bad choice for Faction Wars to bring him up, and also maybe Fire Knight, and honestly maybe even Ice Golem as just a wave debuffer, provoker, and, you know, reflect damage and counterattack on himself. On a 3 turn for 2 turns, I mean, the reflect damage, reflect damage is actually really good in Fire Knight. So maybe this guy will be, maybe this guy will be part of the Fire Knight squad. Not a terrible pull for sure. All right, we're done with our ancients. Let's go ahead and mosey on to the voids. We've only got 7 of these, so we're going to be pulling them one at a time. And our first pull is Stitch Beast. Stitch Beast, I hear nichely, mostly because he has a full turn meter decrease, albeit on a 4-turn cooldown, but still a full turn meter decrease. Sorry, it's kind of late as I'm recording this for me myself, because I wanted to record this as soon as the event went live, which is fairly late for me. But so I apologize if I trip over myself a bit, but at the rare slot, having a full turn meter decrease is not bad. I'm definitely hoping, like, I would love to see a Cold Heart come running out of here, but we'll see if it happens. You know, I'm not gonna hold my breath too hard. All right, Ragemonger. Also, some fusion materials for the mythic, her name escapes me right now, the lady, what the mythic lady, oh, I can't remember her name right now. Oh, Lady Doodlebob. I wouldn't mind. Ooh, Harken Great Blade. Harken Great Blade. Hold on. Attacks one enemy, applies a debuff stratified, taking 2 random debuffs from the target and place them on all enemies. Also extends the duration of those debuffs for 2 turns, will not extend the duration of debuffs on the initial target. Okay. One hitter weaken and one hitter extra attack if it's critical. Oh. Yeah. Yeah, that seems to be the running gag right now for some of these shard pulls. And we got Bloodhorn, which, okay, you need him for Broadmaw, so that's, yeah, all right. So now we're looking at the Sacred Shards. Oh, please, Plarium gods, give me a banger. Give me an absolute goat. Urticata. Attacks 4 times at random. Each has a 50% chance of placing a hex. Okay, so we have a hex option now, which we didn't have before. Whenever either this champion or an ally lands a critical hit on an enemy under a hex debuff, has a 10% chance of placing a 5% poison debuff on the enemy for 1 turn, booked up to 20%. Okay. Attacks one enemy 3 times. Each hit has a 50% chance of placing a poison sensitivity debuff. And then attacks 1 time. Attacks one enemy 2 times. Each hit has a 30% chance of increasing the duration of 2 poison debuffs by 1 turn. Okay, so each hit has a 50% chance. So 2-turn hex. All right, so if I had to think right off the bat, before I even looked at the reviews, I would imagine, because this is 4 times at random, so I would imagine that Clan Boss would probably be where most people are using you. Even though she doesn't apply poisons, the fact that crits have a chance with her passive of applying poisons, and then she's placing poison sensitivity and increasing the duration of those poisons, that's where I imagine she would be. But let me see. Yeah, Demon Lord, Fire Knight, Dragon. Yeah, that's kind of where I figured. Okay. Interesting. I'm gonna have to do a little more research on some of these champions, because some of them I don't even have on my main account, and I have a lot of champions on my main account. So yeah, I don't know. All right, last sacred. Please, Plarium. Bless your boy. Bless your boy. We got Bargain the Crown. I mean, yeah, you know, honestly, he's not terrible. I use him in Faction Wars on my main account in the Lizardman Crypts. He's got this kind of like, he's placing Perfect Veil and increased attack on people with higher attack, and then people with higher defense are getting increased defense and block debuffs. So he's basically kind of giving a lot of buffs, and he's essentially giving the people what they want, like what they need, right? He also has a heal and a shield, and then on his A1, he's increasing the random buffs, or chance to increase the duration of random buffs on a random ally by 1 turn. So he's placing those buffs, and then he is kind of increasing them, and he's very good at keeping your team alive. I feel like he would be better if he had a revive, and maybe I almost feel like he'd be better if he either just brought block debuffs, increased defense, or Perfect Veil and increased attack, and like maybe a revive here, and then, Or maybe if he had a revive here and then placed the shield and a heal, right? So yeah, faction wars, Hydra I can definitely see. And then, excuse me, arena offense. Okay. All right. So let's see. I'm just kind of looking over what we got. I'm gonna be 100% honest with you. I'm not super excited for most of these. I think Ultimate Gaelic or Galek, Sanguinia, and to a much lesser, not much lesser, but a bit of a lesser extent, Arndolf, I guess maybe were the 3 solid epics that I was praying for. Everything else just kind of, oh man, you know, it's so weird because I really want to be excited about getting 2 legendaries, but getting to somewhat kind of niche legendaries. I can see why he's good in Fire Knight. Yeah, Norog just, yeah. Oh, Norog. We're just gonna stick Norog in the Master Vault right now. Not even think about it. Well, on to the next account. By the way, Lady Doodlebop, Lady Mikage, obviously, right? I kept wanting to say Lady Kimmy, and I knew that was wrong, so that's why I just kept tripping over myself. Getting Lady Mikage fusion stuff would have been cool too. All right, well, now we're on the main account. We're gonna pull all the shards here. We obviously have much less shards on this account because we haven't particularly been saving for anything outside of this event right here. I am a bit, no, because we have a lot of epic, actually. We have these epics that we can fuse as well. So I think we should be good without having to dip into gems for ancient shards and stuff like that. So we've got 14 ancient shards. And you know what? The nice part about my main account is I don't really need anything. So everything's gravy here. I mean, at best, at worst, food, at best, maybe a brand new champion that, you know, brings my times down or makes it a little bit easier for me to progress in some places I haven't been able to, right? Lady Candlehead, which we actually have like 3 of, I think, at this point. Carlinia. And a Myrmidon. All right, we got those out the way, so let's do this 10 pull real quick. La-di-da. Okay. No blue tax, always good. Suiren, I don't know if Suiren is new. Fane is definitely not new. And Maruka, she's definitely new. Revive on death on all allies for 2 turns on a 4 turn. Oh, okay. Each time this champion is hit, increase their defense by 2.5, stacks up to 20%. Resets each round. Okay. Removes all debuffs from a target ally, then heals them for 50%. Don't love that. Single target debuff. And then just a, yeah, honestly, not even a Faction Wars champ for this account. Suiren, attacks all enemies. Okay, increase only 80% chance of big decreased defense on a 3 turn. Interesting choice. Single target weaken and some poisons. Okay. So she would probably be, you know, what's funny is honestly, it would have been nice if I had gotten her on the free to play, because then I definitely could have been like, this right here. This is a clan boss champ if ever I've seen one. And then Fane, good old Fane. All right, we got 4 voids. Let's go ahead and open up some voids. Man, I've only gotten 1 void legendary on this account. Wouldn't it be just so crazy if I got another one? Wouldn't it just be totally cool? Harvester, meh. Like I said, at this point, we're not looking. We are actually looking for a couple of void rares for the Mikage fusion. They're actually the only things I'm missing and I could do I could get that fusion done, but I don't think I pulled either of the things I needed. So that stinks. Selenia Nightcloak, she's actually pretty solid, and I know a lot of people use her for the Night Devil, or Sand Devil, sorry, the Sand Devil cheese strat with you know, you use like a burner. Selenia is like your budget option. If you have Ninja, you'll use Ninja along with Godseeker. All right, we have a Primal Shard. It's not a 2x, but I do kind of just need shards pulled to get this event done. So we'll go ahead and pull it. And yeah, the fact that, you know what? This is not a Primal Shard rant video, so I'm not even going to turn it into one. And finally, our Sacred, we get Jotun. Jotun, I believe, is actually new for the account. Single target burn, 4-turn HP burn. Huh. Destroys the target's max HP by 30% of the damage planes. Damage increases by 50% if the target is under an HP burn. And then attacks one enemy. You know, it's funny because I almost... Whenever I see destroy target max HP, all I can think about, probably through conditioning, is Scarab King, right? And he doesn't have a shield, and the 4-turn HP burn, I don't know. This guy's interesting. This guy might just be a 4-star chicken. Yeah, I have no idea. Definitely not falling over myself for Jotun. So we got the champion chase, and what are we at? So we're gonna need, so once we have 2 legendaries for sure sitting in the wings. And then we definitely have 3 epic. Okay, so yeah, we're more than capable of not even needing to dip into gems or anything like that to get this champion chase, at least for the rare. So, yep, not any crazy pulls, you know, on the free-to-play account. Honestly, still think I'm just going to stick with what I've kind of been doing, although I will say Arndolf and Ultimate Galek and Sanguinia are definitely like 3 where I can see, like, yeah, I'm probably definitely going to want to level those guys up at some point, as my HP burn, my AoE weaken, and my cleanse and block debuffs. So yeah. What is this? Surprise round? Well, so basically what had happened was when I made that promo code, I decided that I was going to make an account to grab those 2 champions. Then I decided that yes, it is a lot of work to try to run 3 accounts. So this account is not nearly as far ahead, but it does have the Ugo, the Supreme Galek, and the Elenarl. We got the Alice, the Wanderer, and we've kind of been slacking here and there. We've only barely gotten through the day 14 on the chase, and yet on the, you know, so even though the account is older than a month, we haven't been logging in every day, kind of been slacking on this account, but it does have some shards to pull. So I figured, why not pull some more shards? So we got 25 ancients, 3 voids, and 1 sacred. So let's go ahead and pull. And I won't lie to you, after that pull on the free-to-play account, I'm not Armina. I know she's basically just she's just stun synergy the champion. Wow, 2 back-to-back missionary. Okay. Man, did I Man, I don't know. Missionary gets a lot of flack. I can see why people love him because he brings so much, but it's all single target. He brings provoke. He brings decrease attack. If the champion's current HP is higher than the target's current, oh, I see. That's conditionals. Decrease speed, heal reduction, provoke, sometimes decrease attack, and a chance for a stun. This guy gets a lot of flack. People do not speak kindly on his name. I can kind of see why. It's weird because it's like he brings a lot of debuffs, it looks like, but the debuffs he brings, aside from the decreased speed, I mean, usually you're going to have better options for provoke. You're going to have better heal reduction is kind of it's just kind of a niche debuff. Decreased speed is always good, but it's only on a single target. So yeah, I can kind of see why people play unkindly with his name. 3 in a row. Deathless. Excellent. This 2 or more what? Damage inflicted is proportional to defense and increases according to the number of dead allies. Huh. Place a reflect there. Yeah. And a provoke. Okay. Next one enemy has a 70% chance for what? Is this supposed to be like, I'm guessing this is an ice golem 5-star rating. Yeah. You know what's funny? I can see why. There's almost like this thought in my head of like, but these numbers would have to be so high because at first I was like, oh yeah, this champion seems like, when you think about it, maybe they can just solo ice golem. But the numbers have to be extremely high. She's got no built-in defense. Right, she doesn't give herself an increased defense, no healing, no shields, none of that. But she brings a lot if your entire team is dead. If your team is dead, she's bringing a lot. But it almost seems like a niche where, I mean, I'd have to check these numbers, right? Because, I mean, maybe her multipliers are just insane. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, this is an Ice Golem solo champion extraordinaire. Also, I guess in Arena, right? There's an argument to be made, but even then, no, because she has the AoE that's always critical. And so what would you do? You put her in like you put her in like Stone Skin, you get your team nuked, and then you just try to blast them. And you go full defense and crit damage and just hope to obliterate them. You know, it's funny because with a lot of these, like this free-to-play stuff, I'm having to kind of look over champions that I wouldn't normally touch because I've got the more meta champions. Skaramis is a beast. This guy is absolutely insane. I had in the Tag Arena not too long ago, I had a solo Skaramis on the enemy team, and this guy CC'd the crap out of my champions for like 5 minutes straight. I was able to eventually beat him with a couple of like kind of lucky crits, but no, I'm sorry, with relying on a couple of weak hits to where we didn't get the provokes. Because basically he provokes all enemies for 1 turn on a 3-turn. He places a counterattack and a continuous heal on himself. Then whenever he gets attacked, right, because of the provoke and the counterattack, he then hits them and steals their turn meter and has a chance of placing a stun debuff if the turn meter is fully depleted by this skill. Then he also places a decreased attack and he fills his turn meter by 50%, basically. Or 40%, I guess. 50% on the high end, 40% on the average, right? When you're, especially in Arena. And he just keeps taking turns, and he stuns, and so you come back to your turn and you're stunned, and then you come back again, and if Scramus is going fast enough, he puts this back up, and he is an absolute wave control demon, an absolute demon. Really, really good pull. And funnily enough, one of the things that this specific account was lacking is because we got the Elenaro and the Ugo, we didn't really have a strong lightning rod or wave control champion, and now we do. So that's pretty cool. All right, last 10 pull here. Blue. Are you blue taxing me? You're blue taxing me. Okay. Well, I guess I deserve that because I did pull 3 epics in a row. So I guess you know what? I guess I deserve that blue tax. We're full up, but on this account, honestly, I'm just gonna spend the 400K to extend it because, you know, we're nowhere close to being at a respectable roster limit. So our first one, we've got Bulwark. Attack duration of all debuffs, HP burn, and a weaken. This guy seems like a solid. This guy seems like a solid clan boss champion. There were people. Okay, yeah, people Demon Lord and pretty much nowhere else, huh? Clan boss. I could also kind of see maybe, you know, Fire Knight, or not Fire Knight. Dragon, especially if you have like a really heavy poison team, or, you know, which we do have poison combust, like the bones of a poison combust team on this account. So that's not bad. Pulling and Cold Heart, Eviscerator. Not a, yeah, definitely not a Cold Heart. And finally, we pull Rowan. On my main account, this was the first Void epic I ever pulled, and I built her for Fire Knight. I don't know that I would ever do it again. Realistically, the only reason you build her Fire Knight is she places 4 poisons, guaranteed, 100% guaranteed, 4 poisons on a 3-turn cooldown. And that's it. She does have like the random stun, and she also has the heal reduction. And her damage is based on, her A1 is based on speed. I just noticed that. I actually just noticed that her A1 scales speed and attack, and she is fairly fast at 108 base speed. That's pretty respectable for an epic. So, yeah. I mean, honestly, maybe I still would build a Rowan out on a free-to-play account just because the 4 poisons is solid, and I mean, maybe, I don't know. That's a tough one. That's an investment for sure. All right, last sacred. And this is where we pull a Terrace or Marishka or a Defiled Sinner. I can't remember if it's Defiled Sinner or his brother Karam, who was supposed to be like a slept on nuker. I think it's Defiled Sinner because of this right here. Attacks all enemies, damage increases by 10% for each enemy alive. And then attacks all enemies, or attacks one enemy, then attacks all enemies, inflicting damage equal to 15% of their max HP. If the first hit kills an enemy, the second hit cannot be critical. That seems not great, right? But I mean, because who's doing a better Husk, right? Like Husk is the only one that's doing AoE max HP that doesn't have that caveat. And then on the A1, decreased defense. And so this guy is definitely, I mean, he is good for wave content because it's 5 or more, but this is definitely like a spider champion. attacks all enemies. If 5 or more enemies are alive, does the following turns before attacking. So this guy is like a spider. This is the spider champion. And of course, spider is where they put him at. And I can actually see it. This account already has HP burn, but I almost wonder if Defiled Sinner still might not make the team as kind of like a secondary, or like he nukes the wave, then they start to come back, then Supreme Gilek goes and places all the burns, and he just AoEs down. Also, the nice part is he has technically all AoEs, and so if you put him in a stun set, he might not be bad as like a CC champ for Spider as well, because you can pretty much always guarantee that there's going to be 5 or more champion or enemies alive for his A1. So, well, that's all the shards I got, guys. This video probably actually was a lot longer than I expected it to be. So let me know what you guys think. Do you think I'm snubbing some of these champions that I pulled? Should I be more excited for some of them? Let me know in the comments below. If you like this video, leave a like, subscribe. It would really help build the channel and would mean a lot to me. I hope you guys honestly have better pulls than I did. That's just me. But for now, that's it from me, and I'll see you guys next time.